Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We are ready to do another season preview for the High Limit Sprint Car Series in 2024, and today we are going to talk about the not only promoter of the series but full-time driver Brad Sweet for Casey Kane Racing in that number 49 car. Crew chief by Eric Prutzman. As of this recording, Brad Sweet is now 39 years old and ready to take on the full 60 race schedule with High Limit next season. So we are now into 2024. I took a few days off from recording. I've got a new light. I don't know if you could tell, but a new light, a little bit of a shadow on the back here, but we're going to try and figure that out. But I'm not a professional when it comes to setting up lights and things like that. But hopefully this improves the quality at least a little bit for these videos. So let's jump right into it. We've got a pretty large sample size here to look at when it comes to Brad Sweet. Obviously been on the World of Outlaws Tour for a long time. I think last year was his 10th or 11th year in his career. Well, we're just going to look at the last 5 years of his career, and of course, those last 5 years have all resulted in a World of Outlaws championship. So all these stats here are having to do with the World of Outlaws. So in 2019, that was the first year that Brad Sweet had won his first ever championship, made 72 starts, made all 72 main events that season, had 16 wins, which was the most in his career up until that point. 47 top fives to go along with 65 top tens. And technically speaking, this was the best statistical season of his entire World of Outlaws career. 449 laps led. Obviously was able to win the point standings that year and had a 5.0 average finish. And it's crazy to think that he only beat Donnie Schatz that year by about 2 or 4 points, I believe, was the margin of the points championship that year, even with all of those incredible numbers that he put up back in 2019. Now in 2020, you see a lot of red numbers there, but obviously that was COVID year, and you can see a lot less races to choose from. 54 main events in 54 starts for Brad Sweet in 2020. Was able to get 8 wins, 37 top fives, 46 top tens, 204 laps led. Obviously won the championship, and his average finish jumped down to 5.5. Still a great season overall. Obviously, you're going to see some red numbers when you have way less starts with the Outlaws that year, but still a great year nonetheless. Comes out in 2021, and it does right back where he was at in 2019. 77 starts that year, so not quite as many rainouts for the Outlaws in 2021. And 77 starts, he made all 77 features. 16 wins, once again, ties his career best. Also ties his career best of 47 top fives in 2021, 64 top tens, 338 laps led. First place in points again for his 3rd consecutive championship, and drops that average finish down to 5.4 in 2021. Now in 2022, his numbers take a little bit of a hit here. 69 starts, 69 A mains, nice number there, but only 5 wins last season. 41 top fives, which is the least amount he had since the COVID year in 2020. 59 top tens, 321 laps led. First in points once again, and his average finish at 5.7. It was still obviously a great year, good enough to win the points, but 5 wins was not exactly what that team was looking for that year, especially coming off of a 16-win campaign the year previous. Now, just last season, 2023, out of these 5 years we're looking at, the first year where he actually misses a feature, and that was at the Kings Royal, did not make the show at the Kings Royal, so 70 A mains out of 71 attempts, 11 victories, 43 top fives, 63 top tens, 290 laps led, first place in points, and his best average finish since 2019 when he won his first ever World of Outlaws championship. So 5 Outlaw championships in a row, and we all know the story now. Starts High Limit, and now is going to be a full-time driver with that series here next season. Taking a deeper dive into the numbers of those 5 years, let's look at the feature plus minus. So how many cars did Brad Sweet either pass or get passed by throughout the entire season? In 2019, he was at plus 90 in the features, which to me is quite impressive when he has a qualifying average of 6.7 throughout the season. So he was starting up front, but he was still able to pass cars when it came to feature time. A lot of guys we'll see have a really good qualifying average, but then that hurts this number right here in the feature plus minus. They're not able to keep the car up front, and they drift back a couple of spots. He had 48 dash appearances in 2019 and only appeared in 2 B main events the entire year. 48 dash appearances is absolutely insane. That is more than half the starts he was in the dash with the World of Outlaws in 2019. 2020, that number goes down just a little bit to plus 88, still passing plenty of cars in the feature events. Qualifying average dipped down to 7. He had 33 dash appearances. Obviously, this is 2020. This is the COVID year, so the numbers are all going to be down. 33 dash appearances, and then had 3 B main appearances in 2020. 2021, the best year when it comes to his plus minus at plus 124 in 2021, but his qualifying average might have been the thing that kind of attested to that. His worst qualifying average of those 5 years at 7.5. He had 44 dash appearances, however, and then he had 2 B main appearances in 2021. 2022, he was actually a -8, so he went from plus 124 to -8 the very next season in the plus-minus department. But look at his qualifying average, 6.2, not the best that we've seen, but 6.2, the best of those years that we had looked at here previously. 44 dash appearances once again, and this year he had 0 B main appearances, well, not in the B main a single time in 2022. 2023 gets that number back in the positive at plus 61, and a 6.1 for the qualifying average, the best that he had had in these 5 years that we were looking at. 45 dash appearances and back up to 3 B main appearances in 2023. Now let's look over here at this side of the board. Big wins for Brad Sweet. He has won just about everything, and I'm not going to put every single win up on the board, but he has won the Kings Royal on 2 occasions. He's won the Knoxville Nationals. He's won the Skagit Nationals, World Finals, the Ironman, Summer Nationals at Williams Grove, the Silver Cup at Lernerville, the Jackson Nationals on 2 occasions, and he's won plenty of other races along the way in his career. I accidentally wrote this number down here. It's supposed to be up here, but 90 wins with the World of Outlaws and 6 with the All-Stars. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Brad Sweet, he will not retire until he at least hits 100 World of Outlaws wins in his career, and he's just 10 away from that as we speak. Now let's look at the SprintCarRatings.com, where they have Brad Sweet over the last 2 seasons among all sprint car competitors in the entire country. And this number, they have a computer-generated system that looks at starts, wins, top 5s, top 10s, points finishes, money won, all kinds of things like that. And their computer-generated system has him at 7th. Now, I'm not sure about that number. All the drivers that we've looked at here previously, I was like, okay, I agree with that. That seems like the right position for them to be in. But 7th for Brad Sweet kind of seems a little off. 18 wins over the last 2 years, all of them coming with the World of Outlaws. Actually, that is not correct. He had, 16 there? So he had a couple of wins outside of that, maybe some prelim nights or things like that that don't count towards Outlaw victories. Brent Marks is the only driver that is in front of him on that list, and Brent Marks was obviously the first place driver for the SprintCarRatings.com website. Another driver that we might want to add in there is, as far as the midweek title goes, Kyle Larson is in front of Brad Sweet on that list as well, and we know that Larson will be competing in all 10 of the races for the midweek money series. Now, the final things we'll look at: the strengths, the weaknesses, and the prediction for Brad Sweet in 2024. And this part, it's just kind of weird, right? I mean, the strengths department, what isn't this guy good at, right? I mean, he's won 5 straight championships. He is so good in qualifying. He's good in the features. He knows how to win races. He knows how to, I mean, there's nothing this guy isn't good at, right? But I would say above everything else, he is a great points racer. Probably the best that we've seen in a very long time. Donnie Schatz obviously comes to mind. But as of recently, Brad Sweet is the gold standard when it comes to racing for points. And I would say that is kind of the one strength that he has above all of his other strengths compared to everybody else that runs for High Limit in 2024. Now, in the weakness department, kind of the same thing. There isn't many weaknesses with Brad Sweet. He can win on any type of racing surface, any sized racetrack, and really there isn't a weakness for him. But what I will say is that that team has changed quite a bit over the last 2 years. Now, 2022 was the final championship that he had Joe Mooney and Andrew Bowman. Those guys were with him for a very long time. They won 4 championships together: Prutzman, Bowman, Mooney, and Brad, obviously. And then Mooney left in 2022. They brought in Ty Wolfgang. Now, 2023 was the last year for Andrew Bowman, who now goes to NASCAR. Mooney, he now works for Anthony Macri. So who are they going to have doing the tires for the Casey Kane Racing 49 car? It sounds like they already have somebody. I haven't heard that name quite yet, but we do know how big tires are when it comes to sprint car racing and how much that can affect your race night. So we'll see who they get there and if that affects him at all. The other thing is, as far as weaknesses go, and I don't know if this is a weakness, he's been a busy guy. He has a lot on his plate, obviously trying to run High Limit, trying to race High Limit, trying to manage the Silver Dollar Speedway, trying to manage family time. He's got a lot of things going on in the background, a lot of things going on in the foreground as well. Can he wrestle all that in and still put together a championship performance with High Limit in 2024? I mean, he's had all these things on his plate the last 2 years or so, last year and a half, I would say, and was still able to perform extremely well. So it might not affect him at all. Maybe it does. But another thing I want to point out here as well is if you look at these last 5 years, good year, decent year. I mean, he still won the championship, but these numbers are down. Obviously, it was COVID year. Don't know if you can really count that. But a good year, a bad year, bad. I mean, still championship with the Outlaws. And then a good year, right? Is he set for another bad year, especially with all the things that he has going on in his life? I doubt it, right? I still think, in my prediction, he is either going to win this championship or he's going to finish very, very close in second to either Brent Marks or Rico Abreu. Those are the two guys I think at this point in time. As I'm recording this, we have 15 full-time high-limit drivers, just added Tanner Thorson and Connor Morrell over the last week or so. But I think Rico and Marks are really the only two guys that are going to put up a challenge to Brad Sweet for this championship. I still think if you look at the Vegas odds, he is the guy to beat. I do think he's going to get somewhere between 8 and 12 wins. Obviously, he's not racing against David Gravel and Carson Macedo and Logan Schuchart every single night. But there are some tough contenders like Rico, like Brent Marks, and some other guys that we have already talked about here on this channel, and some guys that we haven't talked about quite yet, and other guys that haven't been quite announced yet that will be putting up a challenge to him. But I think somewhere in the realm of 8 to 12 wins is what we will see with Brad Sweet in 2024. What do you think he will do next season? Where will he end up in the point standings? How many wins does he get? How does his overall season look? Let me know down in the comment section below. We'll be back tomorrow with another High Limit preview for 2024.